service with this sound system. Well, tomorrow morning. Brand new sound system coming in this week. Pretty cool.
And a beaver moon.
Huh?
And a beaver moon.
Which night? Oh, tonight? Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We start on page 128. For those of you who are joining us at home, Shabbat Shalom to all of you as well. Yidid nefesh av harachaman, Yidid nefesh av harachaman, Mishochav lecha, El ritzonecha, Mishochav lecha, la 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 la, El ritzonecha, Yarut avdecha, Kemo ayah, Ishtachave ya la 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 el muhadarcha, Yidid nefesh av harachaman, Yidid nefesh av harachaman, Mishochav lecha, El ritzonecha, Mishochav lecha, la 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 la, El ritzonecha, Yarut avdecha, Kemo ayah, Ishtachave ya la 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 la, El muhadarcha. The top of that same page, 128. Hine matov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Page 120. We light our Shabbat candle. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק נר של Shabbat. Page 130, we'll begin to make our way through Kabbalat Shabbat as we say goodbye to a busy week and hello to the peace of Shabbat. Psalm 95, the top of page 130. Lechu ner anina, lechu ner anina, lechu ner anina l'Adonai. Lechu ner anina, lechu ner anina, lechu ner anina l'Adonai. Naria, naria, b'tzur yishenu, nikadma fanav b'toda. Naria, naria, b'tzur yishenu, Ismirot neriyalo, lechu ner anina, lechu ner anina, lechu ner anina al Adonai, lechu ner anina, lechu ner anina, lechu ner anina al Adonai. Page 131, near the bottom of the page. Let the heavens be glad and the earth rejoice. Let the sea be filled with joy and all that fills it. Let all of God's creation praise God for that creation. Yismachu Hashamayim, 6 lines from the bottom of page 131. Yismachu Hashamayim, Yismachu Hashamayim, Yismachu Hashamayim, V'tagil haaretz. Yismachu Hashamayim, Yismachu Hashamayim, Yismachu Hashamayim, V'tagil haaretz. Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Elo. Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Elo. Yismachu Hashamayim, Yismachu Hashamayim, Yismachu Hashamayim, V'tagil haaretz. Page 132, from Psalm 97, near the bottom of the page. Or Zarua la Tzaddik, light is sown for the righteous. Will Yishrei Lev Simcha, and good-hearted people will have joy. Or Zarua la Tzaddik, will Yishrei Lev Simcha. Or Zarua la Tzaddik, will Yishrei Lev Simcha. Or Zarua la Tzaddik, Yishrei Lev Simcha. Yishrei Lev Simcha. Or Zarua la Tzaddik, Yishrei Lev Simcha. Yishrei Lev Simcha. Lai 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 lai, lai 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 lai, lai 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 lai, lai 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 lai, lai 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 lai, lai 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 lai. Or Zarua la Tzaddik, Yishrei Lev Simcha. Or Zarua la Tzaddik, Yishrei Lev Simcha. We'll turn to page 135. From Psalm 99. We'll read together in English, the bottom of the page, and then we'll sing the last 3 lines together in the Hebrew. Adonai, enthroned on cherubim, is sovereign. Peoples tremble, the earth quakes. Adonai is great in Zion and exalted above all peoples. They praise your name is great and awesome. God is holy. Mighty ruler who loves justice, it was you who established equity, you who worked righteous judgment in Jacob. Exalt Adonai our God and bow down to God's footstool. God is holy. Exalt Adonai our God and bow down toward God's holy hill, for Adonai our God is holy. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu behar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu behar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu behar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu behar kodsho. From Psalm 29 on page 137. We say that God gives strength to all of God's people and God blesses us, we ask, with peace. The last two lines of the psalm on page 137. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Adonai oz le'amo, itein, itein. Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Adonai oz le'amo, itein, itein. Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. We welcome in the Shabbat bride with Lecha Dodi, page 138, 139. We'll sing verses 1 and 2, verses 5 and 9, as we welcome in the beauty of Shabbat. Lecha Dodi kakala yalalai 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 b'ni Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi kakala yalalai 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 b'ni Shabbat nikabela. Shamor v'zakor b'dibur echad ishmi anu el ha'yuchad. Adonai echad shmo echad v'shem u'tiferet ve'letchila. Lecha Dodi likat kala yalalai 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 b'Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likat kala yalalai 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 b'Shabbat nikabela. Likrat Shabbat lefur v'nelcha ki mikor ha'bracha merosh miketen nesucha sof ma'aseh b'machshavat tehila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 b'Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 b'Shabbat nikabela. Oreri, oreri, ki ba'oreh kuri uri, 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 shir dameri, kevod Adonai, alayim nilai. Lecha Dodi likat kala yalalai 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 b'Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi Shabbat. We rise, we face the door, welcome in the image of the Shabbat bride. Hoi v'shalom, ateret bara, gam b'simcha u'zola, toch emunei am segula, hoi chala, v'chadoti likrat kala, yalala, 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 Shabbat, nekavela, v'chadoti likrat kala, yalala, 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 Shabbat, nekavela. Before we're seated, turn to the people around you, in front of you, behind you, etc. Wish everyone Shabbat Shalom. For those of you joining us online, Shabbat Shalom to all of you as well. Alrighty, again, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. As we find our seats, we turn to page 140. I know, we're all making our way back to our seats. We'll slowly get there. We'll slowly make our way there, back to our seats. See, you were just wandering around. Page 140. We continue Psalm 92, a psalm of Shabbat. Tov lehodot Adonai, it is good to give thanks to God. Mizmor shir leyom haShabbat, tov lehodot laAdonai, u'lizamer leshimcha elyon, u'lizamer leshimcha elyon. Mizmor shir leyom haShabbat, tov lehodot laAdonai, Lizamer leshimcha elyon, lizamer leshimcha elyon. Lahagid baboker chasdecha, ve'emunatecha ba'leilot. Alei asor ve'aleina ve'lalei higayon v'chinot. Moshir leyom haShabbat, tov lehodot laAdonai, u'lizamer leshimcha elyon, u'lizamer leshimcha elyon. Ki simachtani Adonai b'fo'olecha, b'maaseh yadecha arani. Ma gadlu ma'asecha Adonai me'od, Amku machshevotecha. Mizmor shir liyom haShabbat, tov lehodot laAdonai, u'lizamer leshimcha elyon, u'lizamer leshimcha elyon. Mizmor shir liyom haShabbat, tov lehodot laAdonai, u'lizamer leshimcha elyon, u'lizamer leshimcha elyon. U'lizamer leshimcha elyon, u'lizamer leshimcha elyon. In the Talmud, the rabbi said that if we read Psalm 92, we should also read Psalm 93 with it, because they're both In the Talmud, they talked about that they both have the same theme. And then when the rabbis in Tzfat 500 years ago put together the Kabbalat Shabbat service, they followed that little discussion. They said because Psalm 92 is about Shabbat, and Psalm 93 is about God's creation, and those fit nicely together. So let's read together Psalm 93 in the English at the bottom of page 141. Adonai is sovereign. God is robed in grandeur. Adonai is robed. God is girded with strength. The world stands firm. It cannot be shaken. Your throne stands firm from of old. From eternity you have existed. The ocean sounds Adonai. The ocean sounds its thunder. The ocean sounds its pounding. Above the thunder of the mighty waters, more majestic than the breakers of the sea is Adonai, majestic on high. Your decrees are indeed enduring. Holiness befits your house, Adonai, for all time. Page 142. We speak of those ministering angels, the Malachi Hasharet. In our Torah portion this week, we have a malach, a ministering angel, who we'll talk about that ministering angel in just a little bit, who comes and talks to Abraham and to Isaac as well in this week's Torah portion. But these ministering angels come to watch over us and give us a little more peace during this Shabbat. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Boachem Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Baruch Mileh Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Tzidchem Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch. We move into our Mariv service, page 144, with Chatzi Kaddish. Yitkada v'yitkada shemei rabba, Yamad yivrach yerutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala, uv'izman karivim eru, amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevorach, ve'alam v'lo me'almaya, Yitbarach, Yishtabach, Yitpa'ar, Yitramam, Yinaseh, Yitadar, Yitaleh, Yitalal, Shemei, Dekudesha, Barihu, Le'elam, and Koberchata, V'shihirata, Tushbechata, V'nechemata, Damiran, Be'alma, V'yimeru, Amen. We rise, page 146. We invite ourselves to prayer with the words of Baruch Hu. Yai lai 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 Baruch Hu et Adonai Amevorach Baruch Adonai Amevorach Le'olam va'ed can all be seated. We give thanks for creation. Ma'ariv Aravim, we turn to page 149, and we'll read together at the top of the page. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the ways on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. El Chai v'Kayam, Tamid Yimloch Aleinu, Le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ari Aravim. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Page 150. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will learn its words. Kihim chayinu v'orach yaminu, because they are our life. They are the length of our days. In fact, this week's Torah portion, just one chapter of it, chapter 22 that we'll read tomorrow morning. In Hebrew we call it Akedat Yitzchak, the binding of Isaac. We read it on the second day of Rosh Hashanah. And just that one chapter alone, there are more than 10,000 pages of classical rabbinic commentary on that one story. It's only like 20 lines long. But as it says in this prayer, they are our life and the length of our days, because all the length of our days, just commentary on this week's portion can show us that we can spend a lifetime learning lessons from just this one Torah portion. And yet we have the opportunity to learn from each and every one of them. Ahavat Olam, with a great amount of love, God, you have given us this opportunity. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Ahavta, Amcha Ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta, Otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai, Eloheinu b'shochvinu, Kumeinu nasiach b'chukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki hein chayenu, v'orech yameinu, uvahem nehege yomam v'layla, nehege yomam v'layla. Ve'ahavatcha al tasir, iminu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Ohev amo Yisrael. We'll join together in Shema, page 152 and 153. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha v'chol nafshecha v'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shitecha b'beitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uvshokbecha uvkumecha ukshartam le'od al yadecha v'hayu totafot b'neinecha uktavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tiskeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim le'elohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem Asher Hotzeiti Etchem Me'eretz Mitzrayim Liot Lachem Le'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem Emet. And come to Geula, we read together in the English at the top of page 157. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. We sing these words of freedom, Michamocha, the top of page 158. Michamocha ba'elim Adonai, Michamocha nedar b'kodesh, Nora tehilo, Osei Melech, Osei Melech, Michamocha ba'elim Adonai, Michamocha nedar b'kodesh, Malchutecha ra'u vanecha, Bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, Ze'eri Anu ve'onu Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed Michamocha ba'elim Adonai Michamocha nedar b'kodesh Ve'ne'emar kifata Adonai et Yaakov U'go'alo miyad chazak yimehinu Baruch atah Adonai Go'al Yisrael. We ask God to lie us down in peace as we turn to page 160. Lie us down in peace and rise us up again tomorrow to life. Watch our going and our coming for life and for peace, for now and forever. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom V'ha'amidenu Shomreinu L'Chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom V'ha'amidenu Shomreinu L'Chaim. The three indented lines in the middle. Ushmor tzeitinu uvoenu l'chaim u'shalom me'ata be'Adonai. Lai 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 lai. La 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 Eloheinu v'shalom v'ha'amidinu shomrin v'chayim Hashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu v'shalom v'ha'amidinu shomrin v'chayim Baruch atah Adonai Hapurei Sukkot Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Amo Yisrael Ve'al Yerushalayim. Page 162, we remind ourselves of keeping Shabbat as a reminder of creation and a symbol between us and God. Shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat Dorotam Beri Olam Believing Bnei Yisrael Oti Le'olam Kisheshed Yamin Asa Adonai Et hashamayim et haaretz Uvehiyom hashvi'i Shabbat Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat Shabbat vayinafash. Page 164, we rise for Amidah. We take time to pray together and individually to have important conversations with God. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotinu v'imoteinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor V'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zovcher Chaste Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevi Go'el Livnei V'neihem, L'Ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Madim, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magin Avraham be'ezrat Sarah Atah gibor le'olam Adonai V'chayei hakol atah Rav le'hoshiha Mashiv haruach U'morid hagashem V'chakel chayim be'chesed V'chayei hakol be'rachamim rabim Somech noflim ve'rofei cholim U'matir asubim U'mikayim emunato Ishenei afar Micha mocha ba'al gevurot U'mido melach Melech mimit u'mechayei U'matmiach Yeshua V'ne'manat halachayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayei ha'akol Atah kadosh Shimcha kadosh U'kadoshim b'chol yom yahaladucha selah Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. We continue silently through 180 or 181. The words on the pages are your own time for your own inner thoughts and prayers. When you're finished, please be seated. Page 178, prayer for peace. Shalom al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Yitov be'einecha levarech et amcha בכל עת ובכל שעה לשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. We think of those now who are in need of healing. We ask God to bring healing to Stanley Sachs, Susan Schenk, Ru'uvain Ben Shlomo Mordechai B'Tzipora, David Zimmerman, Kathy Twerdock, Zelda Bat Esther Profeta, Brandy Davis, Faye Green, Frederick Kaufman, Janice Broder, Yosef Meir Ben Abraham Basara, Marsha Weiss, Genendel Batsima, Adam Bacol, Jane Pogi, Naomi Talia Batsara, April David and Dylan Morris, Scott Slinger, Chaya Reza Bat Melech Baruch, Rivka Bat Pearl, Eileen Hamburg, David Ben Label, Joe Lead, Lisa Lead, Carly Johnston Walker, Corey Chapman, Riley McGee, William Bendon, Darren Black, Don Emmerich, and Rachel Bat Abraham Basara. Do you have any other names for healing? Anybody on this side of the room? Or on this side of the room? Names for healing? Thank you. Any others? Thank you. Thank you. Any others? For all those in need, all those we've named, we ask God to bring them all complete healing. Bimhira B'Yameinu, may it come very quickly for each and every one. Page 371. 371 in the middle of the page. Mishe'ebera avoteinu mikor habracha le'imoteinu. May the source of strength who blessed the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishe'ebera imoteinu kor habracha ve'avoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. This week, as I said, we read in the triennial cycle from Parashat Vayera. We read the binding of Isaac, a story we read not that long ago with High Holidays. And as you said earlier, more than 10,000 pages have been written about these 20 or so verses over time. And tonight we're going to read all 10,000 of them. Why so many pages have written about this story? It's a big dramatic story, and it's been interpreted in every which way. The binding of Isaac's story, one day God decides to test Abraham, the story says. God says to Abraham, take your son, your only son, the one that you love, Isaac, and bring him to a place I will show you called Mount Moriah. which today we call the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, and you will sacrifice him there. And Abraham gets up eagerly the next morning and takes his son to go be sacrificed. By some math of some rabbis, they figure that Sarah was 90 years old when Isaac was born. Sarah was 127 years old when she died. And she dies right after the binding of Isaac story. Or so we assume from the way it's written. So Isaac must have been 37 years old. So if you've ever gone into the great museums of Europe, you've been in the British Museum or in the Prado or in the Louvre, and you've seen the paintings of the binding of Isaac, and you see Isaac as a young child. They didn't read the Talmudic interpretations of this where they did the math and said he was 37. It also makes us wonder, why didn't he argue with his father? His father said, we're going to go. He said, okay. He argues a little bit toward the rest later in the story. It says, where's the sheep? Abraham says the sheep will be provided. He takes him up on top of the mountain, gets ready to slaughter him. And an angel, a malach, we sang about the Malachi Hashare earlier, right? And so a messenger angel of God says, stop. And instead there's a ram in the thicket, and he sacrifices the ram. It's been analyzed every which way. Moses passed the test. Moses failed the test. It wasn't really even a test. Isaac passed the test. Isaac failed the test. Sarah passed the test. Sarah failed the test. I've even seen writings from some rabbi about whether or not the ram in the thicket passed or did not pass the test. Every which way we try to analyze what's there and what lesson is there for us in it. This year, I've been thinking about that lesson in a different way. One, because I've seen blog posts about the lesson that nobody that wrote those blog posts knows it has anything to do with the Torah, or Abraham or Isaac for that matter. But I've heard talking from people, and I've read blogs of people of what's going on in the world since last Tuesday. And I don't want to talk about the election, so I'm not going to talk the election, but I want to talk about what happened after the election. What happened after the election is what happened after the binding of Isaac. What happened after the binding of Isaac? Rashi pointed it out 1,000 years ago, as did some other rabbinic commentators. After the events of the binding of Isaac, how many times does Isaac speak to Abraham in the Torah? Anybody want to guess a number? Guess any number you want that's below the number 1. Any guesses? 0. In the Torah, Isaac never talks to Abraham again. Abraham finds a wife for Isaac, etc., but Isaac never talks to Abraham. In the Torah, after the binding of Isaac, how many times does Sarah talk to Abraham? The answer is 0, because 3 sentences later she dies. It's a spoiler alert for next week's Torah portion. Interestingly, after the binding of Isaac incident, how many times does God talk to Abraham? And the answer is 0. We have an incident that's a shocking incident. Abraham is going to kill his son. And twice in the Torah portion, Abraham, I believe, the way I read the grammar of it, twice Abraham tells Isaac that he's the one that's going to be killed. And after both times that Abraham tells Isaac that he's the one who's going to be killed on the altar, it says, Shnehem halchu yachdav. The two of them walked on together. Isaac, I'm your father. I'm going to kill you at the top of the mountain. Let me tell you a second time, because Isaac says, but Father, I see we have the wood and we have the fire. Where is the ram for the sacrifice? You're the ram for the sacrifice, Isaac. And they walk on. No commentary, no argument, no anything. And then in the story, God gives Abraham a reward. One way that we can interpret it is that that reward was not really a reward. It was a consolation prize. Because one might argue that Abraham actually failed the test. But why would God then say, because you didn't withhold your son from me, I will make you as numerous as the stars and as numerous as the sands on the sea? I'm just timing till that comes true. Because how many Jews are there in the world, right? Not nearly as many as there are stars in the sky. So I think maybe it was a consolation prize. Because really Abraham failed the test. But not the test that God was communicating with Abraham. But Abraham failed the test of how we deal with difficult things. We had an election. Some people are happy with the result. Some people are unhappy with the result. Some people are ecstatic about the result. Some people are mourning the result. But what I've seen online, and I've seen from people, is people who are saying the evil people lost or the evil people won, and I don't need to talk to them anymore because they're not a part of who I am, because I live in blue America, red America, purple America, wherever I live. After the traumatic event in our Torah portion, Isaac never again speaks to Abraham. Sarah never again speaks to Abraham. God never again speaks to Abraham. Why? Because I think that Abraham failed the test. And what was the test? I believe the test was that when we come to difficult times, and other people around us are involved in those difficult times, we have a responsibility to communicate. Our communication might be, beep, you, or it might be, let's discuss this. But all of the people who never talked to Abraham, there's a second side of the conversation. Abraham never talked to them either. I think Abraham failed. And I think Isaac failed. And I think Sarah failed. And I think it might be that God might have failed too. Because here was this difficult situation, and everybody just ignored it. And then after they were done ignoring it, they decided not to solve it. Because they decided not to talk to each other. I'm not sure that talking would have resolved the whole thing. I don't know that if my father told me that I was going to be sacrificed on a mountain to God, and then he actually took me to the mountain and actually put me on top of the fire and actually picked up a knife and only an angel stopped him from killing me, I don't know that I would say, I forgive you right now. But I think the lesson of this story is that we should start the conversation, even if it's an uncomfortable one. Even if the conversation might take a long time to resolve. In our story in the Torah, there's not even an effort to resolve the issue. Will every conversation fix the problem? Definitely not. But I know that every non-conversation won't fix the problem. And Abraham and Isaac didn't take the opportunity to try to resolve it. Abraham and Sarah didn't take the opportunity to try and resolve it. And even Abraham and God didn't take the opportunity to try to resolve it. Among the many, many, many lessons in the 10,000 pages that have been written about this section, among those pages are discussions of the non-discussion. Discussions of everybody not saying anything and just letting the problem fester. The rabbis ask, why did Sarah die? And they conclude, almost unanimously, that Sarah died of a broken heart because she found out about the story of the binding of Isaac, which Abraham could have said. I don't know how this conversation would have gone either, but honey, before we go to bed tonight, I want to tell you something. God talked to me and told me I'm going to do this. I imagine the rest of the conversation would have been very difficult, but at least there would have been a conversation. There would have been a discussion of what was going on with the difficulties. I think one of the lessons of this week's Torah portion is to say when we're in difficult times and there are other people around us in these difficult times, a little conversation helps. It might not solve everything, but not having the conversation definitely solves nothing. A conversation at least opens up the door to some sort of resolution if there might be one. Had Abraham and Isaac had that conversation, if Abraham and Sarah had that conversation, perhaps some of our stories would have been a little different and a little better along the way. But we're reminded always that Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, all of them, if you read the Torah, especially in the book of Genesis, every one of them does things that we would label as stupid. Why? Because they're human. And as humans, we often do things that are not so bright. And the lesson is not that we look to these characters in the book of Genesis for their perfection, because we could never attain that ourselves. We look at how they try to overcome their mistakes, because that's what we as humans do. The lesson this week, when we're in moments of great distress and there are others involved, perhaps a little conversation goes a long way. I hope that in the months ahead, we open up ourselves to those conversations. Amen. We come to the closing prayers of our service as we turn to page 586. The bottom of the page will rise as we say together the words of Alleluia. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, כך כתוב בתורתו, ידעת היום והשבותה אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. Middle of page 590. כי המלכות שלך היא עולמי תמלוך בכבוד, ככתוב בתורתך, אנא ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר, היה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו We can all be seated. We turn to page 598. In our yard sites this evening, we recall the memories of Alexander Weiss, David Snyder, Edward Saravis, Edwin Allen, John Skorenke, Linda Albert, Mary Flax, Mayor Simon, Milton Brodsky, Moses Ginsburg, Shirley Berman, Jake Barish, Eleanor Bartner, Marvin Koskove, Min Kaufman, Stella Geiser, Albert Klein, Chester Superstein, Debbie Rosenthal, Dennis O'Rourke, Gretchen Kirstel, Joe Hill, Marvin Hadesman, Sarah Smith, Betty Ann Perry, Kathy Liebenow, Dan Everett, Frida Hoffman-Seufer, Harris Bernstein, Ida Sack, Jack Raphael, Simon Asulin, Frank Dumont, Joseph Minster, Linda Schur-Colado, and Mosier Shukir. And unfortunately, I'm the bearer of bad news this evening. No announcements going out to the congregation, but for longtime members of the congregation, you'll know this morning we report the death of Rosalie Laser, who passed away this morning about 7 o'clock this morning. Funeral services will be in New York a couple of days from now. And there'll be a notice going out to the congregation on Monday morning. Are there any other yard sites that anyone is observing? Yizichronam lebracha. May their memories be an eternal blessing. We ask mourners to rise and those whose custom it is to stand, as in their memory we sanctify God's name. Yitkadal, Yitkadash, Shemei Rabbah, Ve'alma Divra Chirute V'yamlich Malchute, V'chayechon U'vyomechon U'chaye D'chol Beit Yisrael, V'agala U'zman Kari V'yimru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mevorach Le'olam Olmei Omaya, Yitbarach, V'ishtabach, Yitpa'ar, V'yitromam, V'yitmaseh. V'yitadar, V'yitaleh, V'yithalal, Shmei D'kudesha B'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata B'shirata, Tushbechata B'nechemata, Da'amiran Ve'alma V'yimru Amen. Yehi Shalama Rabba min Shemaya, V'chayim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael V'yimru Amen. Oseh Shalom Nimrama, Huya Aseh Shalom, Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael V'yimru Amen. We can all be seated. We invite Judy Oppenheim from our board of directors to share some announcements of a few things coming up in the next couple of weeks or so here at Temple Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you all for joining us this Erev Shabbat for our service. Thank you, Rabbi Sherwood, for leading us this evening, and thank you all for participating in our service. November will have many opportunities for fun and learning available for you. Save the date items. 1, the Boker Tov Sunday Club's presentation this week is our own member, Ivan Zador, who will speak about his trip to Poland and the 60-mile Ride for the Living event he participated in. That happens on Sunday, November 17th, with all of the Boker Tov Sunday Club editions. Davening is at 9, breakfast 9:30, and the program at 10. The 24-25 Jewish Films series begins on Sunday, November 24th, screening the documentary The Catskills. The film starts at 4 p.m. with a wine and cheese reception afterward. Tickets are $15 in advance and $25 at the door. Children 12 and under are free. Join the Film Society and get 2 tickets for each of the films included. At the end of the month is Rabbi Jay's ever-popular Ask the Rabbi Erev Shabbat service, because November has 5 Fridays. We are having a Judaica fair from Friday, December 20th through Thursday, December 26th. Any Judaica donated items for the fair are welcome to be sold at the fair to support Temple Shalom. Donations must be brought to the office by Sunday, December 15th. Then come and find your new treasures at the Temple Shalom Judaica Fair. You can find out the times each day on the events calendar at templeshalom.com. And for this, you don't have to register. The Board of Directors needs to create a firearms policy for Temple Shalom and seeks input from interested congregants. We will be holding town hall feedback sessions on Sunday, January 5th from 10 to noon in person, Thursday, January 23rd, 7 to 9 on Zoom, Sunday, January 26th from 10 to noon in person. We would like to hear from members and gather your feedback prior to creating a policy focused on member safety. You can RSVP for the in-person sessions on the Temple website. There is still time to donate to our Kol Nidre appeal. Our goal is 100% participation. You can use the Kol Nidre appeal card in the ticket packet that you received to designate your donation, or online in the events coming up section of the Temple Shalom homepage, or just put Kol Nidre in the memo of the check. Thank you for everyone who has donated extra for our security fund to date. Our security is heightened. Please follow the protocols. If you know of any Temple members who are ill, hospitalized, or suffering from a loss, please contact the Temple office so we can be sure to provide encouragement and support. Thank you to any Oneg mavens who have contribute to our Oneg this evening. Shabbat Shalom.
We close our service, page 625. We're going to look at the very last paragraph of Adon Olam. Into your hands I entrust my spirit, when I sleep and when I awake, and with my spirit my body also. Adonai is with me, and I shall not fear. Be'yado avkiruhi, be'eti shan ve'ayira, ve'im ruchi geviati, Adonai li velo ira, ve'im ruchi geviati, Adonai li velo ira, be'yado avkiruhi, edi shan ve'ayira, ve'im ruchi geviati, Adonai li velo ira, ve'im ruchi geviati, Adonai li velo ira. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Please join us for Kiddush and Motzi in the back of the room. For those of you joining us at home, Shabbat Shalom to all of you as well.